Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be reviewing the Sandisk USB 4 terabyte SSD, and it is called Sandisk Extreme Pro with USB 4. So this is an SSD that this that so this is an SSD that comes with USB 4 instead of Thunderbolt 4, 5, or 3 protocol. And the reason is that Thunderbolt is much more restrictive. It may not work on phones that have USB 3.0 or 3.2, whereas with USB 4, it will work on Thunderbolt 5 through USB 4, but at USB 4 speed, Thunderbolt 4 at USB 4 speed, USB 4, and USB 3, USB 2, and maybe even Thunderbolt 3, but Thunderbolt is more restricted. Now, in my testing, I tested this with on phone, it worked. I tested this with iPad M4 Pro, which supports Thunderbolt 4, it worked. I tried it on a Thunderbolt 5 device, it worked. And finally, I tried it on USB 4 device, it worked. So, in all the system I personally have, I tested it and it worked. And not only it worked, it was amazing. It wasn't that there was basically it was much better compared to controlling heat compared to the previous version of Sandisk. I think it's called Sandisk. What is it? Extreme Pro something like. Basically, it's the SSD that had a lot of issue, a lot of lawsuit. It had. It is after that Sandisk is releasing this one, and this one is much better. I have recorded we gameplay footage to this. I have copy and pasted to this. I have edited videos from this. Everything is smooth, and the weight is it is much heavy. I would say it is heavier than the previous gen, but still not heavy as competitor, I would say. Also, it also feels very good to touch, I would say, and after the heavy use, it still holds up, not much heat. So I would say this thing is pretty good. And not only that, in my testing, what I found as at least on Windows, again it was on exFAT, so it may be speed may be reduced compared to Windows on native version. It's called NTFS something. The issue with that is that if you convert it, if you format to that format, this won't work on any other device. exFAT is needed. So I kept it in exFAT. So by using exFAT, I was able to play on all my devices. Everything played smoothly, no issue at all. As well as edit. Now what else? Yeah. So then what I did was I did a coping test first on Windows. So on Windows, I used a Thunderbolt 4 device and copied from there to here, and it copied at average speed of 1.5 GB per second. It slightly went down and up, but and I copied at a time 900 GB file size, and not a single time it went below 1 GB. So I would say the cache on this thing is huge. I suspect about somewhere between 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte. So once you after you copy that much, the speed may go below 1 GB second. Now on Mac, especially if you have a Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 5 device, it should go above 2 GB but below 3, because on Apple you need that Apple format code. I think it's called APFS or FS. Basically it's Apple formatting system or something like that, I think. Something like that. Basically, with that formatting done, you will get on a Thunderbolt 5 device 3.5 3.6 GB not GB MP per second of speed, or I mean actually never mind, 3.6 GB or 3600 MB per second using this device on APF format at 4 terabyte. If you use 2 terabyte, speed is slightly slower. Then if you go and change it to exFAT into a speed test, you may get about between 2.7 GB to 3.1 GB per second, or 2600 MB per second to 3100 MB per second calculator. Now I'm gonna do some copy testing on Mac. This remain my bad. What I meant is after this video, I'm gonna do some copy paste test like that. So you can please check out if you wanna see a real raw footage of copying stuff on Windows and Mac. Overall, this is much better than previous device from Sandisk. From the test, it looks like it will stay for very long. Durability, my bad, endurance, everything looks excellent. So, and also this has 5 years of warranty. So I suppose SanDisk is very confident with this device. Hey everyone, here's the Extreme Pro USB 4 SSD external by Sandisk. So we're gonna test the speed test on the uh, desktop Windows. We are using the extract format so that it can be played, let's say on a PS, not PS5, my bad, on a PC, Windows slash Mac, use like Thunderbolt 4 supported iPads and phones as well, like iPhone, Android, etc. Anyway, so let's go and Control V. So here we go. Here's the speed we are getting, about 1.5 GB per second. So it went slightly down and it's going up. Just to let you know, this is a 4 terabyte drive. So when you copy to it, once the cache is done, it will slow down. So it may go down below consistently 1 GB once the cache is gone. We'll see if it has those kind of issue. Just to let you know, the Pro Grade E is also a USB 4 device. The speed it has is about 2000. Well, it tops at 3000 and then minimum is 2500. This issue is not because of the drive itself. It's a issue of this Windows Explorer. Windows has some kind of issue where if you are using external drive, the speed is very limited. So if I use the same copying thing on the, let's say, Mac, it will see a better speed. So after this, we're going to test on Mac as well. Hey guys, so I'm happy to report even after moving about 900 GB of data, it stayed above 1 GB per second, so which means it has a great cache available. So if you're transferring about 1 terabyte SSD or closer, you wouldn't have issue with slower speed, especially on Mac. On Windows, you may encounter slower speed because it's Windows issue, whereas on Mac, if you copy this, it will use the full 3 GB per second, and then after some time reduce closer to 1 GB or below if the cache is done. Alright, there you go. Hey everyone, so I have formatted this Extreme Pro into the Apple system formatting, basically the default system to get the maximum speed. And now let's paste it again. And let's go to activity monitor and see what the speed is. There you go. So now we are, once I have changed this formatting to the Apple system, it's now copying and writing the data at 3.6 GB per second. And there you go. It has copied the 200 GB file at 3.6 GB consistently without any issue. So if you want the full speed, you have to use Apple's default system, APFS I think it's called. But if you want all the system to play, you have to use exFAT. And on Windows, you have to use the system called, what was the system called? NFS or something like that. I forgot the name. So this is the actual speed. Excellent drive.